everybody. Welcome back to our next episode of Legacy Talks with Marissa and Tasha. I'm Marissa Metz, the founder of Rising Legacy.
And I'm Tasha Smiley.
Today, our episode is focused around a really important leadership behavior around giving feedback to others. So, we have some really nice questions to talk about, and I can't wait to get started. Tasha.
Great. Yeah, let's talk about feedback. So, my first question for you, Marissa, is how do you encourage open feedback in a team?
Um, I work with leaders frequently on creating feedback cultures. And what this means is that leaders and team members are able to have two-way conversations about various topics that are related to work or projects or tasks. And usually during these conversations, one person's going to give the other person some information on their work performance. Some people call that feedback. Some people call that having casual dialogue. And, one thing that can happen depending on someone's professional experience or the work environment that they've worked in is that the word feedback can cause some tension or some nervousness around, oh no, shoot, what did I do wrong? Let me fix it. And it's always has this negative or stressful response. And the first thing that I work with leaders on is how to create more comfortable conversations around giving another person information on their work performance. So once we are able to reset that first, but inside a leader's mindset, then we're able to talk about how to do it better. And um, the first step that I encourage leaders to think about is when was the last time you asked for feedback from someone that you work with? It can be from your manager that you work for, or it could be maybe a coworker of yours, a trusted coworker that you have a good relationship with, or it can be one of your team members that's works directly for you. And when you ask for this feedback, I highly encourage you to think about asking for very specific things, specific behaviors or specific actions well in advance from when you actually want the feedback. Because if you put someone on the spot and say, how is my leadership practice? Someone's either going to be saying, oh, you're great. Yeah, no problem. You're a great manager. Or they're not really going to have a good response because they don't know what to say. And some people need some time to think about giving feedback to another person in this way because they want to say something nice, they don't want to hurt your feelings, and they want to give you something substantial and valuable. And so I'll recap. When you want to create a comfortable environment at work, creating dialogue around feedback first is understanding how you see feedback as something that's simply information on your work performance, things that you're doing well or things that you should improve on, and then going out and proactively and consistently, don't forget that, ask for feedback from those around you, being very specific on what you have feedback on. Because then eventually, what will happen is one day you're going to have to give positive feedback or constructive feedback to the hardest relationship would be to your team member. And you'd want that relationship to have already been established so that conversation isn't scary and it isn't awkward or stressful. You're just sharing information about their work performance. So it does take some good groundwork to lay out to create environments where people feel comfortable having this dialogue so that you're prepared when the time comes in a comfortable way. I hope that helps, Tosh.
Hey, yeah, no, it's such an important topic because you think it comes naturally to you, but you do, as a leader, really have to think about how do you receive feedback and how do you get feedback. It's very good advice. So my next
Thank you.
question for you is, what is the biggest challenge in giving feedback, and how do you overcome it?
Um, in today's work world, I think time is the hardest thing to manage. Given technology, given the scarce resources that we have, leaders are stretched very thin. And in order for us to have good relationships with people, specifically people that work for us on our team, that takes a lot of time and effort and investment on our part to have really good, rich dialogue with people. And so the hardest challenge is finding a window of time to reach out, maybe have to set a meeting to get on someone's calendar to be able to have a feedback conversation. That can be so daunting to people, daunting to leaders. Um, but a best practice around giving feedback is making sure that it's timely because you don't want to bring up a conversation about work performance 6 days after they did it because now they've performed for the last 6 days, maybe doing something that wasn't as effective. And then you're going to bring it up 6 days later and they're going to say, why didn't you tell me before? And so, um, really prioritizing critical conversations like feedback conversations to improve and create efficiencies around your team members' work should be part of your leadership practice. Throughout your day, really be disciplined in creating space for you on your calendar to have conversations with your people. And then within those conversations are tips or pointers on improving work performance that someone could call feedback, but you're just being a leader. So creating time in your calendar to make this a regular practice, but also something that's going to take even more time, but not too much, is sitting down with yourself to prepare your message. What do you want to say? How do you want to say it? Especially if you don't have a great relationship with the person you need to give some feedback to, you want to be even more intentional about the words that you use, the tone of your voice that you're approaching this person with in the right setting. So it can be complicated and or not complicated, complex, excuse me, complex in the moment of figuring out how you're going to have this conversation, but eventually through time and practice, as being a leader is, this journey of growth and development, it'll be easier, it'll come faster to you, and you'll feel more comfortable doing it.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think the timeliness, like you said, is big
So
because you have a meeting, maybe you have feedback to give after that meeting, after that person presented. And so it's
yes.
important. It doesn't have to be 5 seconds after, but maybe the next day,
Yeah.
so that it just doesn't go for so long and that you get that timely feedback. It's so important. So,
Yeah.
okay, Marissa, as we always do after every couple questions, what is your leadership lesson for us this week?
I recently had a conversation with an employee resource group on the importance of being intentional around encouraging and uplifting others. For this setting, it was an intact employee resource group coming together, and that practice might be very obvious. That's one of the purposes of an employee resource group. But I encourage anyone who's listening in a leadership position or not, ask yourself, what can I do this week to uplift or encourage someone in the workplace? You might do this unintentionally. It's just part of your communication style or how you work with others. If that's the case, keep doing it. But if you struggle with it or struggle understanding what that sounds like coming from you, sit down and ask yourself, who could be someone on my team right now that I could approach to uplift them and encourage them? We're in some difficult times, and you can be the light in someone's day. So I just I'll leave you with those words and that action or challenge to uplift or encourage someone today.
Love that.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Go forth, give feedback, encourage and uplift someone, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.